Hi, I'm Danny, and welcome to Dad Builds It. Today we're going to build an old classic. It's the Canadian Goose Whirligig. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, but they're pretty cool. Today we're going to build one. So I drew out the body of the goose, and I've drawn out where I want to paint it the different colors. I'm just going to tape it down. And then I'm going to take a pencil and trace out the outline of the body. And now I've drawn out our wing, and this end has to be square. So I'll put it right up against the edge. Tape it down, and I'll just trace it out too. We're going to need 4 of these. So now we're going to take our scroll saw and cut out the body of our goose. Now we're going to cut out our wings, and I'm able to get 2 out of this little piece of wood. It's a lot thinner, so it should cut faster. Now we've got our wings cut out, and we want to make them as close to identical as possible. You know, cutting them out with the saw, it's hard to make them identical, even though we follow the line, but if you put them together, you'll see they're not quite the same. There's a little difference all the way around. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some 2-sided tape here. Just cut a little piece of it. Get it in between it. Now I'm going to line up where we cut it so it has that straight edge. I'm going to start it right there. Get close. I'm going to mash it together. Now we can take our sander and we're going to sand it all the way around and make them identical. Alright, make sure we keep these together. You know which wing goes where. Now we got 2 identical wings. So now we're going to cut the hubs. And the hubs They're what the wings are going to fit in. And we're going to make them out of this little scrap piece of wood. I want them 1 inch by 1 inch square, and then we're going to cut them 3 inches long. So I've set my table saw up. The first one we're going to do this way. And I've got the blade set just enough where it's just going to come past it. That way you don't need it way up here. This will make it a lot safer. So we've got our 1 inch stock, and we're going to cut our hubs out. We want them 3 inches long, so I set a little stop up here and measured it 3 inches to the blade. Now we'll cut out 2 hubs. So now we have to drill a hole, and our 7/8 dowel is going to go through the body, and that's where our wings are going to attach. So we need to make sure we cut this hole straight. I don't want it to go at an angle, because then our wings won't sit right. So hold it flat here. We need to go through here. I've already marked where I want it. And then we're going to use a 7/8 spade bit, paddle bit, whatever you want to call it. It's going to go through, but if I go at an angle, then our dowel's not going to fit, or our wings won't sit right. So here's a neat little trick I've made. I've cut this notch out of a 2x4 and centered a 1/4 inch hole here. We're going to slip our 7/8 bit here. And now when we set it down and drill, it's going to be our drill press, since I don't own one. So we're just going to set it on here, hold it, and go. So now we have our hole, and we have our dowel, and it's going to slip in here. It's a nice tight fit. We'll mark where the center is. That's where our wings are going to attach. Alright, now we need to drill a hole in our hubs. So we know they're 1 inch square. So we're going to 3 inches long. We're going to mark it at 1.5 inches. Now we need to find 1/2 inch, which is right there. 1/2 inch again. You'll notice I'm not using the end of the tape measure because it has that little slop in it. So what I do is we call burning an inch. I'm actually going to start at the 2 mark, and I'll just put it on there. If I do that, it has a little bit of play in it. Now I'm going to pre-drill it in a smaller pilot hole. We're going to take our little bushing that's going to fit in here. There we go. It's going to slide in there. That's where that's going to go, and then our nail is going to go in. And that's how our wings are going to spin. Where are you going? What are you doing? And we want to cut our hubs at 62 degrees. So I just put a sacrificial board here. I've set my miter at 62 degrees, and I'll clamp our hub. I've already set the depth on the blade. And you see we've got our notch for our wing. So now I've set the miter saw up on this side. My guide's over here, set at 62 degrees. And it's going to cut our angle at the other angle. So when we put our wings on, we want one wing spinning this way and one wing spinning that way. We don't want them both spinning the same way. It looks funny. The rule of thumb is to have them spin in the opposite directions. Now you see the hubs go in the opposite direction. We'll just make this a little wider. So now we're going to take our wings, and we've got them numbered. That's a pair, 3. This is that one. This is this one. So we're going to put them into our hub. When we put them in, I want the wing tips to go the opposite direction. Like so. One wing down, one wing up. Alright, so we're going to put some glue in here, and I'll put a little brad nail in it to hold it. Once the glue dries, it won't come apart. Alright, put some wood glue in the notch, and then I just shot a little brad nail on each end just to hold it till the glue dries. Now you see our wings are going 2 different directions. So when they spin, they'll spin like this. Cool. Now we've let our glue dry overnight, so everything's nice and tight. We've got our blades in, our hubs, they're nice and tight. So one thing we need to do is we need to make sure our wings are pretty much the same weight, or else whenever the wind stops blowing, that one's really good. When the wind stops blowing, you don't want your wings standing straight up. You want them to be as close to this as possible. And you see this one here is way off. So we can remedy this one or 2 ways. We can sand some of this off if it's not very much weight, or we could take a little washer and glue it to the wing. Just to see if that's going to do it. Let's see. That's not quite enough. There we go. So I can just glue this washer to the back of this wing right here. Glue it down, and then when I paint it, just paint right over it. Nobody will ever see it. We'll make sure it's on the inside of the goose, so you don't see it when you walk up. So now we're ready to paint our goose. And I've got my cutout here. And I've drawn on here how I want the colors to be. Yellow, white, brown, black. And that's how we'll paint it. So I'll just lay this up here and copy it with a pencil, and then we'll go back and paint the inside of it. Now it's time to lay out the markings on our goose so we can paint it. So I'm just going to slide the cutout here over him. And And I'm going to take this carving paper and I'll place it under it and trace over it, and it'll put the mark on there for me. Let's see how that did. So now we've got the marking for our outline, and I'll just move the carbon paper back here. Now the wing's pretty easy. It just has one little white tip, the rest is brown. So what I do is I just lay it on here, and I'll take my pencil and just, I can see the line through the other side. And it puts a little indentation in the wood so I can just follow it easy. There's our little indentation. Just follow it. And that wing's ready to paint. Now we'll do the tips of the wings. Alright, next we're going to do the brown. What you doing? Now we let our brown dry. Now we're going to put the black on it. We're going to need two brushes. I'll need a fine brush to do this inside work and around here. Now we're going to do the eye and the beak in yellow. Alright, now we need to put the eye on. Let's see where the eye goes, right there. So put a little dot for the eye. Now we're going to put a coat of polyurethane clear on it. So here's the body of the goose, and we cleared it yesterday and let it dry overnight. Now it's time to attach our wings. This is the one we had to put a weight on, so I'm going to put it on the inside. So we want to put a washer. And I put a brass washer on the outside so you can't really see it. Put a little brass washer on here. I'll put a little grease on our nail. Tight, we want it loose so it can spin. Put a little oil on it. There we go. Now we'll do the other side. And it has a weight, so we're going to put it on the inside. There we are. So now we're going to take this metal rod. We've already put our bushing in here. We're going to put a little bit of grease on the end of it. And a little oil. And we're going to put a BB. So a little BB is going to go in there. It's going to sit in the top. And our shaft to go in here. And there we have our goose. So I drilled a little hole in my table right here and just stuck the rod in it. So you can see what it looks like standing up. And you see the wings are pretty level. So when we put those weights on it, it keeps them level. So now I'm just going to turn a fan on and see how it does with just a fan blowing. Go a little faster. Oh yeah. Moving now. I think I might shorten the rod up a little bit. I've got that rod at 2 feet. I might just make it about a foot, foot and a half so it doesn't shake so much. And there you have our finished Canadian Goose Whirligig. It's a great addition to your yard. If you like this video, please like and subscribe.